It's been a wild ride. We're going to talk about that tonight in a little bit greater detail. We have been working hard here, despite what you may have heard on TV and radio and streaming services, but we are very much involved in our committees. We're going to be talking about that. By the way, if you want to ask a question tonight, please press *3 to ask a question. Press *6 to subscribe to our email newsletter. Let me tell you about this newsletter first off. It is awesome. It comes out every 2 weeks. We are trying to be great communicators, trying to give you a real insight as to what's going on here, not just in our office, but on Capitol Hill. And so I highly, highly suggest that you do subscribe to our newsletter and you kind of get a full picture of what we've been doing. Also each week, we haven't done it this week or last week, but the Capitol recap that we put out every week on social media. It usually hits Saturday or Sunday. And that also gives you a recap of what we've been doing here on Capitol Hill. Also, we have our radio show that airs in 3 radio markets in the district. It's called Mark Alford's America. So I encourage you to listen to that. It's also on YouTube. And then our social media channels, @Rep Mark Alford. Now, this is different than my other social media that I have a private account for, but it's @Rep Mark Alford. Okay, we're going to start with the hard things right now. First off, welcome to those who are watching right now on Facebook Live. Again, if you want to ask a question, it's *3. And what is the *6? If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, that's it, *6, subscribe to our newsletter. I want to talk a little bit about what's happened. Okay, so after you guys elected me to this great office, I started hearing from you immediately about who you wanted to be the Speaker of the House. And many of you in our district said, we want Jim Jordan. Okay, and I had met with Jim up here, a great guy. He founded the Freedom Caucus, helped start that. Super uber conservative guy. We hit it off. But I kept telling you, look, he's not running for Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy is, and he's supporting Kevin McCarthy, okay? So I think we kind of got all on board. There were some still that you didn't really like that vote, but that's who was running, and that's who I really felt could get the majority of votes, the 218. And he did. We passed a lot of great legislation. We passed the Secure Border Act, Parents' Bill of Rights, a lot of things that weren't just messaging bills, but things that were going to make a difference for America. One of the things that happened before I even got sworn into office, I came up here for orientation, and I was in the conference meetings. They allowed the members-elect to be in these conference meetings. And I got to see kind of how the sausage is made. And part of that is establishing the rules for our conference that would go onto the House floor. Part of that rules package was on the motion to vacate. Now, you've heard that term before, but basically it used to be, it had to be a majority of the majority to call for a vacate of the chair, which means you wanted to fire the Speaker of the House, basically. Well, there were some who wanted that to be lower number, and so it went from 50% plus 1 down to 25, down to 10. It eventually ended up with just one person could be able to call for the vacate of the chair to fire the Speaker. So that anvil was hanging over Kevin McCarthy's head for about 8.5 months, and they threatened to use it. They finally did when the votes for the continuing resolution came up, and some people didn't like that, and so they voted to vacate the chair. Well, they fired Kevin McCarthy 2 weeks and 15 days ago. We have been a ship without a rudder since then. And it hasn't been fun. Today's conference meeting lasted 3 hours. We've had Kevin McCarthy finally said he wasn't going to pursue the office anymore. We had a conference internal vote. Steve Scalise won that over Jim Jordan, but he couldn't get 217 votes in our conference to take it out on the House floor. Had another vote, Jim Jordan won, and we've had 2 votes for him on the House floor. And at the first vote, there were 20 people who basically voted against him in our conference, and then yesterday 22 people voted against him. So the problem is we don't have anyone right now who can get 217 votes on the floor so that we can have a new Speaker of the House. Today it was proposed in conference to let our Speaker Pro Tem, Patrick McHenry, give him the powers basically of the Speaker for 90 days until we can get it figured out and elect a regular Speaker of the House. I am against that. I thought it went against the Constitution. We should never have been sent home 2 weeks ago. We should have stayed here and did whatever it takes to make sure that we have a Speaker of the House. It's in the Constitution that it's up to us to choose a Speaker. And the leadership kept sending us home, and there were some of us who were like, I did not come here for this, and I was one of them. Look, I didn't give up my career. I didn't campaign for 2 years. I didn't put everything on the line to come here to be in this internal squabbling fight and then be sent home before we get a Speaker of the House. So, let me give you the very latest, because we were thinking that, let's see, it's 6:40 here in D.C. time. I know if you're back in Kansas City, it's 5:40. We're thinking that any moment we could get a call that we're going to have another vote on the House floor. Jim Jordan is our Speaker designate, and it's up to him to be able to talk to people, try to win them over to vote for him, and then at his discretion, we will have a vote on the floor. So the reason I'm telling you that is that we could have to go at pretty much any given time. Until then, we are with you. We're going to try to do this for an entire hour. And I do want to remind you that you press *3 if you'd like to ask a question. Press *6 to subscribe to our newsletter. So that's enough about me. I want to hear from you. You guys, you know, you're important to me, and I represent 772,047 individuals here. And it's not, I've said this before, it's not just Republicans, it's not just Democrats, it's not independents, it's not agnostics. I represent everyone. And so I want to hear from everyone. I think that's what I learned in journalism more than anything, is just to listen. And I know I'm talking a lot now, but it's time to listen. So let's take our first call. Gregory Davis from Raymore. How you doing, Gregory? I cannot hear you.
Good.
All right, there you go. What's up, buddy?
I wanted to ask, what can be done to eliminate the budget that Biden's using to send humanitarian aid to Palestine, or the Palestinians and Hamas?
Very good question. Stay on the
funding.
Hey, David, I totally agree with you. I think this is a stupid deal. This president is weak, feckless, flailing, and he's got to realize this is not a great thing to do. This money, $100 million, is going to end up back with the Hamas terrorists. 2 weeks ago, last Saturday, it was just horrific what happened. These butchers, these animals, go into Israel, behead babies, set people on fire, kill more Jewish people at one time than since the Holocaust. It cannot be tolerated. Hamas must be wiped off the face of the earth. The IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, are ready to go into Gaza to do that. We have American hostages that we're having to consider that are in these tunnels, and other hostages. I think there's over 200 hostages. But it is a mistake. It is wrong to send $100 million to the people there that we know are going to end up in the hands of the terrorists. It's just like how he deals with Iran. To unfreeze these $6 billion that, you know, they tried to say, well, that's for humanitarian aid. There's no way it would ever get to the Iranian government. That's BS. This president, I don't know what his intent is, but it's not America first. And it's not, I don't think it's fully standing behind the people of Israel. And that troubles me, because I do. You do. I think our district does. Does that answer your question, David?
It helps.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it helps. Let's go to Paul Whitlow. Paul Whitlow, my friend from Clinton, Missouri in Henry County. How you doing, Paul?
Not bad. Calling from Clinton, Missouri.
I know it well. How you doing?
Not bad. So this, what are the chances of nominating someone that doesn't have such close ties to Trump, and that might spark a better voting situation to get this thing out of the mud?
Well, Paul, here's the deal. I think it may eventually come down to that. I'm supporting Jim Jordan until he is out of the race, and that's going to be up to him to determine when he withdraws his name. He's got to win over 22 people right now. Kevin McCarthy dropped out when he realized he could not get 217. Steve Scalise put his country above himself and did the same thing. Jim Jordan will have to make that final determination. If it doesn't look like, I think after tonight's vote, if things don't start turning around and he starts picking up votes. Because there's no one here that wants to go through 15 votes again like we did in January. And keep in mind, we don't have time on our side. This continuing resolution is going to run out November 17th. We have to finish these 8 appropriation bills to fund our government. We've got to secure our border, and I think most importantly right now, we've got to fund the aid package for Israel to help replenish the Iron Dome and help them out. And so we don't have a lot of time to mess around with this. There are some other names within our conference, and I won't mention those, that I think could do a great job. It's probably names you've never heard of, but it's people who haven't ticked people off and don't really owe anybody anything. And that's very rare in Washington, but they're workhorses and not show horses. And Paul, I appreciate that. Hope you guys are doing well on the square there. All right, let's go to Terry Tester in Cole Camp. How you doing, Terry?
All right.
What's on your mind, Terry?
I want to know why ain't nothing being done about all these illegals coming across that are military aids. They're allegedly families, but there ain't no families.
Well, you know, I went down to the border. I've been down there several times. It's only a 12-hour drive from Cole Camp to the Mexican border. Every state's really a border state now, and fentanyl is coming over. Killed 100,000 of our citizens last year, the equivalent of a plane load a day crashing in America. And this administration refuses to do anything about it. You got Secretary Mayorkas, who has said for a long time, there's no crisis on the border. What crisis? That guy's the biggest liar since Pinocchio. And we all know it. We need to impeach him. He's lied to Congress. But this president, even before he got into office, I think with a wink and a nod, he started welcoming illegal aliens into our country. And we have more than 7 million of them right now. The problem is, that's a big enough problem because it's a strain on our economy, it's a strain on our culture. You're seeing that in New York now, and even the Democrats are going, wait a minute. I know we said we're a sanctuary city, but we don't want to take care of all these people. Well, I tell you, too bad. You opened yourself up, and you need to experience a little taste of what Texas is dealing with. But the biggest problem of all, and I think you hit on this, Terry, is that we have an unknown number of fighting age men coming from countries that want to see us dead. Terrorist-related countries that are in our sovereign nation right now. And today the State Department put out a warning for anyone traveling around the world. If you're an American, you need to watch out. They don't do that unless they know that something's going on. We've seen the problem with Hamas invading Israel, Hezbollah ready to shoot rockets over. They have 100,000 of these rockets they can shoot over at any time. And so I have no doubt in my mind that these jihadist Islamic terrorists have sent young men, fighting age men, into our country up through the poor southern border that our present administration has left open and welcomed people in. And we don't know where they are. It is a huge problem. And I hope to God that nothing bad happens like we had on 9/11. But we need to be ready. We need to be on alert. That's all I'm saying. Did that answer your question, Terry?
Contrary to what mainstream media is dictating here, most of us Americans are ready.
Good.
Especially us veterans.
Good. Well, I appreciate you being ready. And I thank you very much. And tell everyone in Cold Camp hi. I like going through there, and my wife likes the little shops that we stop at there. So take care. Let's go to Richard Coey in Warrensburg. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
What can we do for you?
Well, my question has to do with the VA
Okay.
and the PAC. In 2013, I got diagnosed with bladder cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
Went through treatment. I'm good to go at the present time. Under the PACT Act, 10 years later, they finally acknowledged the fact that, yeah, we caused your cancer, but we're not giving you a dime for it. There's something wrong there. When you look at Camp Lejeune and the
Right.
compensation that is being given out, and then they're not compensating people that were exposed to the forever chemicals, there's a problem there.
Well, that is. First off, I'm sorry that you got diagnosed with that. We'll be praying for you, Richard. We do have someone who specializes in these types of cases. Her name is Grace. I think she's listening in right now. If you will call our office first thing in the morning, the number is 417-532-5582. That's 417-532-5582. And ask for Grace. That's our Lebanon office. We have 3 offices, one in Raymore, one in Columbia, and one in Lebanon. Grace is a veteran herself, and she works with Veterans Affairs and does a fantastic job. If there's anyone who can help you navigate this system, which I think is lacking in a lot of ways, it will be Grace. So thank you, Richard. Let's go to Todd Scott from Richmond. And would you mind getting me a Dr. Pepper real quick? I forgot to get a drink before I started here. Todd, what's up?
Hey, Mark, I was just wondering, I keep hearing these people keep holding out on this Speaker of the House. Who is the 23 wanting that they're not getting? I'm assuming...
I had a list here.
Some of the same people that keep
Thanks.
holding out. Who are they wanting?
That sound was a Diet Dutch Pepper, by the way. All right, so there's some people who want Scalise. I think there was one vote for Tom Emmer, who's our majority whip. There was one vote for Tom Cole last night, who is our chair of the Rules Committee. Who else was there votes for last night? There was one vote for John Boehner. He's not coming back. I think some of these votes were just like protest votes. There are some people who wanted Scalise to get this job, right? And they felt like he was kind of messed over. And so they're kind of bitter about that. And so they're still voting for Scalise, even though Scalise is now supporting Jim Jordan. See, our rules in conference are whoever wins the conference vote, gets the majority of votes, that is our designee. And then everyone in the conference is supposed to fall behind that and vote for that person. But people aren't following the rules. 23 aren't following the rules. Now, I have also said I'm going to do 2 things when I come here to Congress. I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm not going to question the motives of any other member's vote. That is not my job. And the way they vote is between them, their conscience, their God, and their voters. Just like it is with me and you and the people of our district. So I don't know exactly their motivation. I know there are a lot of hurt feelings that have gone on for things that were said 5, 10, 15 years ago. And I do think we've got to move on. We've got to think about our nation. It's not about me. I mean, this isn't my seat. This is your seat. The 4th Congressional District. Vicki Hartzler had it before me. Ike Skelton had it before her, and there'll be somebody after me. And so I look at myself as a steward of this seat. I don't take it personally, but there are some people here who do take things personally. And we've got to get over that as a body. We've got to start thinking that it is not about me. It is about we, the people. Thank you so much. Let's go to Fred Peters from Sedalia. How you doing, Fred? Fred Peters, you're up.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Hey, Mike, I have two questions. One is, we talked about immigration. Well, immigration's bad, but the American people are doing it to themselves, especially in our area, with these landfills and stuff.
Okay, so we've got two separate issues here. One is more of a local issue with your landfill. Immigration is, and I want to clarify because I like to use correct terminology. Look, I'm for legal immigration. I think immigrants, including my family many years ago who came to America from England and Scotland in the early 1800s, but they did it legally. They went through Ellis Island. Illegal immigration is a totally different story. We should not allow illegal immigration. The asylum system needs to be followed. Yes, we do need to have more asylum judges, those who can adjudicate cases, but people should not be encouraged to come here for illegitimate asylum claims. And if you leave a country that you have so much despair that you must leave because you're being politically persecuted, I would suggest that if you're leaving Guatemala or Nicaragua, you get to Mexico and that's where you call home because you're not going to have that political persecution there. People are coming to America because they want a better life. They want a better economic future. They want to be able to remit their pay back to their family in their home countries, and that's not legitimate asylum. The second issue that you brought up is the landfill, and I am quite familiar with that. I know the landfill issues. Pettis County, I've talked with the commissioners there. What did you want to ask about that landfill issue? I don't know if I have a lot to say about it.
Well, I'm just curious if there's anything up there that you folks can do to protect our country. I mean, those landfills they're getting carried away with them, and they're going to be as bad a problem in our country as when they used to drain all the sewage and stuff into our rivers.
Well, yeah, there are definitely environmental concerns. I know that Missouri Department of Natural Resources is involved in each and every landfill. There's a similar landfill issue in Cass County, just inside or the other side of our district. It's not technically Cass County, it's Jackson County, but it borders our district. And they're trying to build this, I think, a 600-acre landfill right there on the middle of this beautiful parkway, basically. And the neighbors aren't too keen on that. I'm not either. I'm trying to facilitate some conversation there between the mayor of Kansas City, the mayor of Raymore, and those seeking to put it there. But here's my take on it. We got to put our trash somewhere. Let's find a regional solution that can make everyone, I don't know if anyone's going to be totally happy that a landfill's in their backyard, but they've got to go somewhere. So let's find out the best solution regionally that is going to disaffect the least number of people. I think those are the way things can be handled. Not who's going to make the money the fastest and who's got the land for sale and who's going to, make a killing when it's all over and sold to whoever. Let's find a solution for the people, and that's what I'm trying to encourage, and that's what I've told the commissioners there in Pettis County. Great people there. Let's go to Luke Luff in Warrensburg, Johnson County. How you doing, Luke?
Hey, I had a few questions. So, one thing that seems to be concerning, like with the Israel situation, like the enemy within kind of a thing, and you see, all across a lot of the major cities, you have these very supportive, to Palestine sort of, sympathies, and it's just different. We've got this open border, Ukraine, Russia, China, and now, the entire Islam, Muslim world, coming down on Israel, it seems like.
Right.
What's the sense of urgency around addressing some of the
Well, look,
security issues.
that's a great question, Luke. And this is, I think, look, that was so disturbing what happened. It makes me want to cry to think about these babies and people being held captive and just this savagery that took place. And I've done speeches on fighting anti-Semitic behavior and hate speech from the House floor. I did not realize how, and I'd heard from Jewish friends in the Kansas area and Missouri area and here in D.C., but I didn't realize it was this bad. I didn't realize there was this much hatred towards the Jewish people. And it's an eye-opening thing for me. I knew there was some of it, but this anti-Semitic hatred has infected our college campuses, our larger cities. Heck, even here out yesterday, there were, 1,000 or 2,000 people right in front of my office out here, siding with the Palestinians and Hamas. And they know good and well that rocket did not come from Israel, the Israeli Defense Forces. It was an errant rocket from Hamas. They killed their own people, 200 of them. That has been proven. And yet they continue to use these lies to foment hate. And, sorry, that's the buzzer that's saying, are we going to have votes in a little bit? Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry I lost my track of thought. I think if anything that has come out of this that is revealing, it's revealing to me of just how much hate there is in the world. And how we have to combat that, how we have to stand up, and how we have to say enough is enough. And it's not. I don't think it's going to be easy because it's so deep in so many layers. But take a stand where you are in Johnson County. Everyone take a stand. Take a stand for Israel. Let's go to Rick Allen in Appleton City, one of my favorites. Been down there duck hunting along the river there. What's up in Appleton City? What's the name again? Rick. Rick, are you there? Rick hung up. I'm sorry, Rick, we didn't get to you fast enough. That's the only place where I don't have cell service, by the way, for T-Mobile. We're working on that. Who do we have next? We have Aaron McGruder. Aaron McGruder. How are you, Aaron? Where are you from?
I'm in Harrisburg, Missouri right now. How are you today, sir?
I am fine. What's up? What's on your mind?
Fabulous. So I was fortunate enough to be in D.C. last week, but I was unfortunate enough that I did not get to see you. And one of the questions we were trying to address was H.R. 4090. At the end of the year, appropriations for the U.S. Fire Administration and a couple grants that are critical for staffing, for equipping, and for operating fire departments across the country is set to expire. How do we get this reauthorized so we can continue domestic public safety?
What committee is that under jurisdiction?
I'm not for sure at this moment. I'm honestly a firefighter, and I was afforded the opportunity through CFSI. But this is something that, if it doesn't get approved, this affects probably 30% of the fire departments.
Are these for rural fire districts?
It's for all fire departments. So metro stations, fire districts, everybody is eligible for the AFG grants, and it's the U.S. Fire Administration as a whole.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am ignorant on this. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to get my staff on this. If you will leave your number, is there a way for her to leave her number?
I can call the office tomorrow.
Yeah, call the office tomorrow, and let's have a deeper conversation about this. I may be here. Who knows? If we don't have a speaker, I may be staying the weekend. So I'd love to talk with you more about this. Does that sound fair?
Okay. I would appreciate it.
Thank you for your service. Bye-bye. Let's go to Brett Calloway in Pleasant Hill, Missouri. What's up, Brett?
Hey, how you you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Actually, I kind of wanted to chime in on the guy with the landfills
Yeah.
down around like Sedalia and stuff. I grew up down around Truman Lake area,
Right.
and me personally, I used to build those landfills, and all they do is put a foot layer of clay on the bottom, and then they put this liner and weld it together with a little robot.
Right.
Then they pile the trash up there so high, and then they cover it. Eventually, that stuff is going to eat through that liner and soak out through the ground into our streams and everything eventually. I don't know why we don't just burn the trash like we used to. And that's plant food, for one. But my question when I called in, I was wondering if those Palestinian protesters that marched into the Capitol and around the Capitol, if they were arrested.
Like the J6.
6 people.
All right, let me clear this up because I got pictures of this, and there were some. I did not know this until I came up here, and I've been in the media for 35 years, but the rotunda that they showed where all those protesters were, and they arrested 300 of them, that was kind of fun to see. That is not the rotunda of the Capitol. That is the rotunda for the Cannon office building, which is just next door to me here. I always thought, and that's the one where you see reporters on CNN and Fox and different networks and TV stations, even some from Kansas City come up here, and they'll do their live shots up on this like balcony looking over the rotunda. That is not the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol, all right? So there's a difference there. I know it got on Newsmax and some others that it was said the Capitol Rotunda. It was not the Capitol Rotunda. Had that happened, I think there would have been even more arrests. But there were like 2,000 people blocking the road out here that we couldn't get through, and they told us we had to use the tunnel system to go underground if we wanted to go to the Capitol. They were fearful that we were going to get hurt or something. I went out there and watched it. I'm not scared of those people. But that was not the Capitol Rotunda. Still, some of them did break the law, and they're going to be prosecuted. But I know what you're saying. It seems like there is a double standard. I believe there is a double standard in our justice system, but that didn't really meet the qualifications of that double standard in my viewpoint. Does that answer your question?
Well, kind of, yeah. But I mean, the video that I seen was Marjorie Taylor Greene. She walked around a few times, went out on a balcony, and then heard one of the protesters out there had a bullhorn, and they were basically making threats and said that they're not leaving and all that stuff. And then you hear the leader of Hamas when they were calling for 14 days of terror, worldwide
right.
and stuff. I mean, when are they going to stop this? I mean, do the American people have to stand up and stop it?
Well, I would not encourage I would not encourage anyone to take the law into their own hands, as tempting as that might be. Look, I'm a big believer in free speech, and I know you are too. That's part of our First Amendment rights. But when free speech crosses over into hate speech, that's where I got a problem. And I think it's like yelling fire in a theater. We've got to tone it down. And I think the biggest problem with these people is their ignorance. They don't know the facts. And when I talk about ignorance, I'm not talking about stupidity. It's just a lack of knowledge. They are not grounded in reality or facts. And that is their problem. All right. So thank you very much. Let's go to our next caller. We have Tyler Hildebrandt from Raymore, Missouri. How you doing, Tyler? Tyler, you there? Tyler dropped off. They must be getting tired of my long answers. Maybe I need to do shorter answers. All right, who do we have next? Vicki Gibson. Where are you from, Vicki?
I am from Warrensburg.
Warrensburg. What's going on?
Not much. Hey, I have a question. I heard today that the United States sent aid over to Israel and Hamas intercepted that. And if that's true, I'm wondering, how did we allow that to happen?
I have not heard that. It could have been a couple of stories got mixed up. The president is going to ask us for $100 million in aid to send to Israel. Hold on, I'm making some notes here. And he's also sending a separate aid package to the people of the Palestinian people, which we've already talked about that. But I don't know of anything being intercepted. I do want to talk about this aid package because this is really sticks in my craw, Vicki. You know, the president, before we came back to the district, and I did 12 town hall tours, 12 town hall meetings in August. We didn't take a break. A lot of people think it's the August recess. There was no recess for our team. We worked our butts off. But the president wanted $20.6 billion more for Ukraine, right? Well, he hadn't spent all the money we gave him last time, and he has not given us a clear definition or explanation of what victory looks like. We do not want to be in another Vietnam. This cannot just be an endless war. And so I am very much for Ukraine beating Russia. Russia does not need to win this. But I'm also not in favor of voting to send your taxpayer dollars continually to Ukraine. Now, I did vote a couple of weeks ago for $300 million for training that we have been doing since 2016. But keep in mind, we also do the same sort of training, $2 billion worth of it, for Israel. And that's paying off right now. We do $5 billion for Korea. And so if you want to get rid of training programs for all the other countries that our U.S. military helps train so that we can have security on a world basis, then let's have a conversation about that. That is the only reason I voted for that $300 million, because we've done it since 2016. Now, I'm not in favor of another Ukraine package until they spend the money we've already given them and they give us a clear definition of what victory looks like, unclassified, that you guys can kind of wrap your arms around and say, okay, I understand the mission and here's where we're going. As far as aid to Israel goes, here's the problem we're facing, Vicki. We don't have a Speaker of the House. I may have already said this already, but the Senate, either tonight or tomorrow, is sending over a big aid package for Israel, and it may be this $100 million package. And the president's linking aid to Ukraine, border security money, which we've been asking for to help finish the wall and to secure our border, and aid disaster relief for Florida and Hawaii. I am not in favor of linking these together. These should be separate, so we can vote on each one, because I would definitely vote on aid for Israel, but I'm not voting on aid for Ukraine. But the president knows there are a lot of us conservatives who feel that way, who are looking out for your money, and that's why he's going to try to put these together. So we've got to get to the Speaker of the House so we can fight that. Let's go to Ron Crawford from Belton. Ron, how are you?
Mark, first of all, thank you for the way you're representing us. I liked everything you've said on the call tonight. Thank you for supporting Jim Jordan for Speaker. Feel free to share with your colleagues that these protest votes aren't helping. They're making the Republican Party look like clowns, and we need to come together. You know, they can always pull Jim Jordan down later. They don't like what he's doing.
agree with you. Totally agree with you, Ron. Anything else?
I have a question, and that is, my question is, what's your honest assessment of what you think is going to happen November 17th when the CR runs out?
Well, here's the problem. I told Kevin McCarthy when they started calling around asking would we support a CR continuing resolution. This was in the summer, I guess July or August. And I said, look, I'm new to this, all right? I didn't really know how the system works, the appropriations. I know we had to pass these 12 appropriation bills, but it's like, why in the world did we not get this done in the spring and summer? Why in the world are we just now talking about it? The system is broken up here, and I don't know how it got broken or why it's broken, but it's got to get fixed. We've got to do our homework before we go back to our district in August. Maybe not even have an August in-district work week. A lot of congressmen and women, they go on congressional delegation trips to foreign countries, and yeah, it's part of research. I went on one to Romania and in Poland in February because I'm on the Armed Services Committee, and I wanted to see some of these armaments that are actually getting to Ukraine so I could assure you, my constituents, that, yeah, these armaments are getting there. I had a purpose for going. And believe me, the weather's not great in Romania in February. But there's some who go in August, and these are research trips, congressional delegation trips. But that should not take precedence over getting our budget done, getting our appropriations bills done. So we've got to change that. And a continuing resolution is not the way to do it. I told Kevin McCarthy, I said, look, I will agree to one continuing resolution because it's like a grace period, all right? I don't want to be a hard-nosed person, but my district doesn't want any CRs. I will do one, and that's it. And that's what I'm sticking to. I've already told them I'm not doing another CR. That's on you because you didn't get your work done. And so we're going to go from there. We'll see what happens November 17th. Hopefully it will put pressure on everyone to get a speaker so we can get these appropriation bills done. Let's go to Dave Kennedy from where? Rocky Mount. Your handwriting is horrible, by the way. No, I'm kidding. I've got my chief of staff is putting notes on a whiteboard here. Dave, what's up?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the money going to terrorists like Iran and stuff. I'll just speak blunt about it. It's kind of treasonous to me for this country to be sending money to known terrorists. And my question was, how in the world and what does it take to stop that flow of money?
Well, Dave, I wish I had an answer for you. I totally agree with you. We never should have unfrozen the $6 billion. It's time to refreeze that money. This administration continues to lie and deceive and gaslight the American people. So I don't trust them when they say that this money is not ever going to be able to get to Iran. We know. Look, Dave, if you filed your income tax and you knew you were getting $5,000 back in February or March, that might free up a little other money where you can go spend that $5,000 in your savings account on something, maybe put down a down payment on a new car, knowing that you're going to get $5,000 back in a return. That's the exact same thing Iran's going to do, right? They have money set aside for humanitarian aid for their country and other purposes, but now that frees that money up because they're getting the $6 billion. So it's kind of a shell game. I don't know the intent of the administration of why they're doing this or why they're removing other restrictions and sanctions from Iran, but let me assure you this. Iran is intent on building a nuclear weapon to take out Israel. And I think we all know that. We can't let that happen. We have been successful in the past in delaying that, but giving them any more money, the largest state sponsor of terrorism, is a mistake that could cost the world. And so I am pleading with the Biden administration, if they're listening, I doubt they are, to have a change of heart, change of mind, and start listening to the American people. Let's go to Tim Johnson in Columbia. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Well, my question is going back to the whole fiasco with the speaker. And I was wondering, are there any kind of talks behind the scenes? I mean, it's probably not the best time with the chaos. To do something about the rules or policy to keep this from happening next time?
Yes. No,
because the Democrats always vote lockstep.
They do.
You know, however many Democrats there are, you know that's how many votes they got. We come out and shoot ourselves in the foot, and even though we have the majority, we can't get anything done.
You are spot on, but all right, so let me tell you how this works. So we have rules that we develop in our conference, and then included this motion to vacate. Nancy Pelosi had changed it to where you have to have a majority of the majority. And this group wanted to change it back to just one person. So we have it within our power to change that next Congress, all right? Or I guess we could do it now, but you'd have to get 218 votes to do that. And we don't have the votes to change it because there's still some people who want to keep that because they will have the leverage and the power. And right now, instead of the majority controlling our conference, you really have 5 people controlling our conference. But those are the rules. Matt Gaetz played by the rules. I don't agree with what happened, but that's what happened. And so we've got to, if you're hearing bells going off right now, I never know what these mean. We don't have a vote, do we? Oh, they're closing the House. Okay, they're closing the House floors. So we're not going to have a vote tonight. Tomorrow morning. All right, good. Breaking news. This is Shen from the 5th floor of Longworth Office Building, 1516, Mark Alford's congressional office here. We are going to vote on the Speaker of the House tomorrow. Tomorrow morning at what time? 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So that's 10 a.m. We will maybe have a vote unless Jim Jordan changes his mind. So that will give him more time. All right, so we do have a chance to change these rules back. I'm not trying to be flippant, but you're going to have 218 votes to do that. Until we do that, you're going to have this anvil hanging over the head of Jim Jordan or whoever's the speaker. Let's go to Pete Hill from Camdenton. How you doing? Hello.
Just wanted to say a couple things real quick.
All right.
One is that we're proud of you for the job that you're doing up there representing us in the chaos and confusion that's going on. But my observation is that the sideshow that's going on with the holdouts makes it appear to people that are unfamiliar with politics that the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. So it's really looking terrible for us up there. Second thing I want to say is, if we can't agree on Jordan, I do favor him extremely well. Why don't we call back Newt Gingrich if we have to have somebody that can bring the herd together and actually get this thing going down the road so we can continue the Biden investigations, which have come to a dead halt. We were making a lot of progress on exposing to the world just exactly how evil he is. And of course, the budget is a big consideration. It's got to be done. We've got to get together. We've got to get our majority and use it to what purposes that we can to fight the situation that we're in. But again, thank you, Mark, for the job you're doing there.
Thank you, Pete. I really appreciate your support. Yeah, we look like kids fighting in the back of a Suburban as mom's trying to drive to soccer practice, basically. It's not a good look. However, I'm always trying to find the silver lining. I think the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, when you think about who are we as Republicans? Well, we are makers, we're not takers. We are creators. We are business owners. We believe in capitalism and free enterprise and democracy and that free spirit. It's a different attitude, I think, than someone who comes up here who has the mindset that the government owes you everything, that you don't have to really work, you can take, and just kind of living in that mindset. So that independent spirit that we have as Republicans is alive in our conference, and it leads men and women in that conference of independent thought, knowing that they are inspired by God to create, to do their job, to be here. I think that gives them a little more sense of purpose and independence. And I like that independence. I like it that we don't all think the same way. The problem is we've got to listen. We've got to listen, reflect, and respond, and we've got to try to see where our brothers and sisters in our conference are coming from. And try to, I know compromise is a dirty word, and so it's not compromise, it's negotiating. It's trying to figure out how can we all win in our conference. Because when we win in our conference, my brothers and sisters from New York State there are 18 people who won districts that Biden won for the presidential race. They're in blue or purple districts, and they could very well not be back next year. And so how do we keep our majority? I would like to grow our majority. How do we at least keep our majority, get everyone back here so that we can work for you, so that we can do things that matter, so we can secure the border, so that we can try to bring our spending down, for goodness sake, to get us off this curve. We take in $5 trillion a year and spend $7 trillion. It's crazy. But we've got to work together. And so I think that's part of my reason I'm here. I like to listen to people. I like to talk to people. Tell you the truth, I go across the aisle just about every day and meet a Democrat that I don't know. Because how are you going to win someone over if you don't know them or you don't listen to them? It's not that they're going to influence me, and it's not that I'm going to compromise, but we've got to start listening to each other in America. And for as long as I am here, I'm going to try to do that. Let's go to Cynthia Smith from Warsaw. How you doing, Cynthia?
I'm doing fine, so why don't you use that speech and we'll nominate you for Speaker of the House.
My wife has already said, no way, Jose. No.
You've been in journalism for 35 years. You know exactly how the game is played, and we need you there.
Well, thank you. If well, I forgot who said that. If I'm nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. But I appreciate it. I'm just honored to be here. You know, Cynthia, I never thought I would be doing this. I thought I was going to die on that news set in Kansas City someday, or maybe do real estate. I had a good real estate business going on the side, but you know, when God pushes you out the window, I was holding on. I did not want to leave. I was so secure. I was making good money, and I just felt God pushing me out this window and telling me to trust me. I've got you. And when I finally let go, He did, and everything just fell into place. And now I'm here. I've got a great staff. God has blessed me immensely. I have a loving wife who is invested in what we're doing here. And I have great people like you and great staff at our offices. I mean, I get overwhelmed sometimes just thinking about how good God is and how good He's been to me to give me I just turned 60 2 weeks ago. I'm like, who in the world at age 60 gets a chance at something like this after I've already had a successful career and made great friends? And I'm just humbled and honored, Cynthia. So thank you very much. I appreciate that sentiment, but I don't think that will be happening. Let's go to Kathy Jones from Warrensburg. Kathy.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. What's going on there in Warrensburg?
Okay, good. I appreciate your take. I appreciate your point of view. I appreciate you using language correctly. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
The first thing I wanted to say, I know I am a strong conservative, and I pray a lot. Now, when the Republicans go into those closed sessions, do they start with a prayer?
Very good question. Let me tell you about,
okay.
I'm going to talk about that, but I also want to talk about how I've seen God move here in Washington. People ask me, like, what is the biggest surprise that you've seen here? You know, my predecessor, Vicky Hartzer, is a woman of God and very dedicated Christian. And she introduced me to a Bible study here. I was at it yesterday. She used to be a member of it, and we rotate. There's 12 to 15 members who meet on a regular basis on Wednesdays, and we've met in this very office, and I've led that study, and we rotate. It's about an hour study, and whoever's office it's in, that's who leads the study, and we pray. And we pray hard. And then Thursday we have another Bible study that's in the Ag Committee room that our chairman, G.T. Thompson, is part of. And it's a little more in-depth, a very meaty, it's almost like a college course. A guy named Ralph leads it, and it's very in-depth. There are a lot of Christians up here. There are a lot of men and women of faith. Last week, we had an event on the steps of the Capitol in support of Israel, a bipartisan deal. And we held candles, and there were speeches made in support of Israel. And the sun had set, and the Capitol dome was lit up. And there were about 200, maybe 300 of us out there with candles. And I got a little emotional, and standing next to me is the chairwoman of the Energy and Commerce Committee. Her name is Kathy McMorris Rogers. Strong woman of faith, and she saw that I was having a moment. She said, "Hey, I want you to walk with me." And we started walking around the Capitol, and she does this every day. She walks around the Capitol and she just prays, and prays out loud. And it was probably one of the most powerful, moving moments since I've been up here. There are people up here who care, who know that our nation was founded on the Christian principles, that we would not be out here without the providence and protection of God Almighty. And so I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to be a part of the group. There was a text chain that we have right now that we thought there was going to be a vote tonight, and we were all going to meet near the in this room near the House floor to pray before we go vote. So before every conference, I know I'm long-winded on this, before every conference meeting starts, we do have a prayer, and it's led by a member. And usually it's like a little mini devotional. People share scripture, and it's a very heartfelt prayer. And then we say the pledge, and then we hear from our leadership, and then we start talking and sharing our hearts. So, yes, we do have prayer. I know that's a long answer, but I wanted to give you and everyone else listening an idea that, there's a lot of criticism thrown up this way to Washington, D.C. I know it's been called the swamp. But there are a lot of good men and women here who know that it's not about them, that it's about a calling from God to be here to make a difference. Let's go to, we're closing it out. Wow, that's a good one to close on. All right. Thank you. We need to wrap it up. I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Again, if you press *6, you can sign up for our email letter. And I think I'm going to close in prayer. It's probably unusual. You probably never had a Tele-Townhall where you close in prayer, but that's how God's leading me, and I just want to pray. God, I just thank you for everyone who is tuned in tonight on social media. Every one of the callers who have invested their time to listen and to ask questions, God. God, I just thank you for giving us the greatest country ever to live in. Help us to always be appreciative of what you've done and what our founding fathers have done and what our leaders are doing. God, we know that you are in control. We put our faith and trust in you. God, I ask that you raise up a Speaker of the House. If it's not Jim Jordan, God, please raise that person up soon, that we can have a speaker, that we can lead with integrity and determination, fairness, and love for our fellow man, God. God, I ask a special blessing on the people of Israel tonight, as there could be a possible invasion, as Israel goes into Gaza now and tries to rescue those hostages. God, be with them. Be with the families whose loved ones have been slaughtered by Islamic terrorists, God. Just ask that you protect those soldiers, that you protect that nation, your chosen people, God. And finally, I ask a blessing on America. I ask a blessing on this administration, the president, the vice president, our legislative branch, and those who are working with determination, fortitude, and sense of purpose to make America great again, God. God, you are the almighty creator. We give you the praise forever. And it's through Jesus Christ that I pray. Amen. Thank you, guys.